Are you looking for a sleek-looking, compact case for your next PC build? One that still has enough room to house higher-end graphics cards and taller CPU coolers? Something that offers tempered glass panels and a panoramic view of your build? And do you want something that comes with multiple ARGB case fans pre-installed, along with an ARGB controller and a pre-connected fan splitter so that you don't have to worry about how you'll connect all of those RGB lights and case fans to your motherboard? And what if I told you could get all of those features from a case for just under $60? All of that is what this little known case right here brings to the table, and in this video I'm going to go over all of the reasons why you might want to consider using this case for your next build. This is the Okinos Aqua 3. It's a micro-ATX case that does almost everything right at an extremely low price point. Now, I've never heard of Okinos before, but the Aqua 3 caught my attention when I was browsing Amazon for a micro-ATX case for my latest gaming PC build. Its dual tempered glass panels and low price tag drew me onto its listing, and then seeing that it came with 3 ARGB fans and an ARGB fan controller pre-installed, I knew I had to get this for my build. Despite offering a very compact compartment up top to house your build, this case can still hold bigger graphics cards up to 330mm long and taller CPU coolers up to 164mm in height. So it just fit my 323mm long XFX RX 6750 XT graphics card and my 156mm tall Thermalright Assassin Spirit CPU cooler. I chose the black version of this case, but it is also available in all white, so if you're looking to build a white themed PC, you can do that with the Aqua 3. The case's bottom power supply compartment is covered on the front and side panel in a 1.2mm steel mesh that helps contribute to the case's aesthetics. For the front panel, this case offers a USB-C port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an audio jack, a button to change the RGB lighting effects on your case's fans, and of course, a power button. Also worth noting is that Okinos uses all black cables for their front panel connectors. A lot of case manufacturers still use multicolored cables for the HD audio connection, and in my opinion that can hurt the aesthetics of a well-planned build. It wouldn't have mattered much in my build though, as the HD audio cable wouldn't have been visible underneath my graphics card. Still, it's a nice inclusion from Okinos when even more reputable case manufacturers don't always do this on even their more expensive cases. The case's tempered glass panels are very easy to remove. The side panel is held in place by 2 screws, and once removed, the panel can be slid backwards and lifted out. The front tempered glass panel can then just be popped out. There are no screws holding it in place. Now, I didn't realize how convenient it would be to build a system without the front panel getting in the way, but not having this panel on during the build process made installing the motherboard and connecting all of the cables incredibly easy, as it gave me more room to work with and it allowed me to approach some of the connections from a more convenient angle. This case also comes with a 3.5-inch storage bay if you want to install a traditional mechanical hard drive, but this bay can easily be removed by removing the screws on the bottom of the case. I did choose to remove it to give more space for my power supply's cables. The included ARGB controller sits on the back side of the motherboard panel, and the ARGB connectors from the fans are already pre-connected, and there's even an additional ARGB header available, which I use to plug in my CPU cooler's 3-pin ARGB connector. All this controller requires is a SATA power connection from your power supply, and then of course you'll need to connect its 3-pin ARGB connector to one of the 3-pin ARGB headers on your motherboard, and that will give you full control over the RGB lighting on your fans. The Aqua 3's case fans are 3-pin DC fans, so these probably won't be the quietest fans out there, and the fans only operate at a maximum of 1000 RPMs, so they aren't the best performing fans either. Also, the case fans are all set to exhaust air out of the case, so it is a completely negative pressure setup, which in terms of cooling isn't necessarily bad, but it will draw in a lot of dust. While the Aqua 3 may not feature the most perfectly optimized cooling configuration, I was still able to see adequate temperatures on both my CPU and GPU while gaming. My RX 6750 XT never went over 70 degrees, and my Ryzen 5 5600X mainly stayed in the mid 60s to 70s degrees, occasionally touching 80 degrees under heavier loads. In Fortnite, the 5600X did stay in the upper 70s degrees for the entirety of matches. While that is on the warmer side for the 5600X, it is still well within normal operating temperatures. Now, it may be worth switching either the top fans or the rear fan to intake air to test and see if I can improve temperatures a bit, but then of course I'd be stuck looking at the bracketed side of the fan or fans I flipped around. I also didn't play around with any of the fan curves on the fans in my system, and I'm sure I could bring temperatures down a bit if I used more aggressive profiles. Ultimately, I wasn't expecting perfect cooling performance with this style of case, as not having a grilled front panel is going to restrict airflow a bit. But either way, my CPU and GPU stayed well within normal operating temperatures while under heavy gaming loads, and that was good enough for me. I did run into one minor issue with this case, and I wanted to point that out. With my motherboard's USB 3 header located on the bottom of the motherboard, it was difficult to connect the Aqua 3's front panel USB 3 connector to that header. The USB 3 cable is rigid and the opening slot on the Okinos 3 isn't quite big enough, so I really had to bend the cable in order to get the USB 3 connector plugged in. And I really had to make sure to get the USB 3 connector pushed down as far as possible because the graphics card sits right above it, and if it were to stick up too far, it could get hit by the middle fan on my RX 6750 XT. Now, this isn't necessarily Okinos' fault, as a lot of micro-ATX motherboards have their USB 3 header on the right side of the motherboard, and if I chose a motherboard that had the USB header on the right side, this wouldn't have been a problem at all. So just note that if you choose a motherboard that has the USB 3 header on the bottom side of the motherboard, you'll really need to make sure you force this cable down as low as possible. All in all, I really enjoyed building a PC in the Aqua 3. It was easy to build inside of, it provided me with all of the room I needed to house my system, and I think it looks great too. Now, if you're looking for a case that will provide excellent airflow and top-of-the-line thermal performance, then this probably won't be the best option for you. But if you're looking for a budget-oriented micro-ATX case that will offer you upgraded aesthetics, good enough thermals, and an easy-to-build-in chassis, then I highly recommend you consider the Okinos Aqua 3. It has exceeded my expectations, and I'm very happy with the purchase. In any case, that does it for this review. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.